find it quite interesting. I'll read the first, and then we'll go around the room if you're willing to read as it comes to you. If you were to travel back in time, some 5,000 years, to the borders of what is now Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northwestern India, you'd see sand, rocky mountains, dusty trees, red soil, and wide open plains, the same landscape that now covers most of the Middle East. But you'd also find something else: 5 million people living in cities of baked brick tract houses, roads meticulously constructed in geometric patterns, and children playing with copper, bronze, and tin toys. Between the cul-de-sacs, you'd see public bathing pools with running water, and toilets piped to complex sanitation systems. In the marketplace, you'd see tradespeople measuring goods with weights and standardized rulers, sculptors carving elaborate figures into stone, and ceramists throwing pots and tablets. Karen, can you read the next one?
Sure. This was the Indus-Sarasvati civilization, named after the two rivers that flowed through the valley. The Indus-Sarasvati were the largest geographically, some 300,000 square miles, and one of the most advanced of ancient human civilizations. As far as it is known, the Indus Valley had no churches or temples or sacred spaces. The people who lived there produced buildings.
Produced no praying
Maybe I do need glasses. No praying sculptures, no iconography, palaces, castles, and imposing governmental buildings didn't exist. There was perhaps no belief in God.
Debbie?
Wow, okay. But the people were here believed in a transformative power of breathing. A seal engraving unearthed from the civilization in the 1920s depicts a man in an unmistakable pose. He's sitting erect with his arms outstretched and hands with thumbs in front placed on his knees. His legs are crossed and the soles of his feet are joined, the toes pointing down. His belly is filled with air as he consciously inhales. Several other unearthed figures share the same position. These artifacts are the first documented yogic postures in human history, which makes sense. The Indus Valley was the birthplace of yoga.
I knew, right? Gavin, are you willing to read?
Yeah. Things seemed to be going so well in the region until around 2000 BCE when a drought hit, causing much of the population to disperse. Then Aryans from the northwest moved in. These weren't the blonde-haired, blue-eyed soldiers of the Nazi war, but black-haired barbarians from Iran. The Aryans took the Indus-Sarasvati culture and codified, condensed, and rewrote it into their native language of Sanskrit. It's from these Sanskrit translations that we get the Vedas, religious and mystical texts that contain the earliest known documentation of the word yoga. In two texts based on the Vedic teachings are the earliest lessons of breathing and the control of prana.
Audrey?
Over the next few thousand years, the ancient breathing method spread throughout India, China, and beyond. By around 500 BCE, the techniques would be filtered and synthesized into the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Slow breathing, breath holding, deep breathing into the diaphragm, and extending exhalations all first appeared in this ancient text.
Someone can read this.
There is no mention in the Yoga Sutras of moving between or even repeating poses. The Sanskrit word asana originally meant seat and posture. It referred both to the act of sitting and what material we sit on. What it specifically did not mean was to stand up and move about. The earliest yoga was the science of holding still and building prana throughout breathing.
Preston.
Yoga practices were never designed to cure problems. They were created for healthy people to climb up the next rung of potential, to give themselves conscious power, to heat themselves on command, expand their consciousness, control their nervous systems and hearts, and live longer and more vibrant lives. And be happy.
And be happy. Expanding your consciousness.
What's prana?
Yeah, I was just gonna.
What's prana?
Yeah.
Prana is generally translated as life force. You might sometimes hear the word chi used to mean the same thing. Sometimes people confuse it with breathing, because we talk about pranayama and pranayama techniques, but prana is life force, and we do breathing techniques to make the life force thrive or grow it or whatever. Yeah? What do you guys make of all of this? Yeah.
Fascinating that we haven't learned of it. I feel like I'm somewhat educated, right?
Yeah.
And yet I feel so dumb.
Like, didn't know this, right?
Like, why is this not something that we know?
Right.
Common history.
Right. It's fascinating. I mean, it's like, I'm kind of really, I wish you could, I assume you can go and, I don't know, learn and see more about this stuff, because they do, you know, they dug up these seals and found these things in this part of the world, but what do you think about this idea of yoga and breathing and what we're learning about that?
I'm still working on it.
Right, well, exactly. But what do you make of it compared to, I don't know, say what you might have thought yoga was all about? Or the value of this? I mean, Preston is a deep diver.
Yeah, I learned a lot about breathing because of that, and it's more important to me now and more central, whereas before I ignored it.
Yeah, right. I mean, we all tend to think like,
Beneficial.
right. We tend to think that, like, I mean, I really honestly until like the last year, and I've been doing yoga for 20 years, right? And the teachers all talk about yoga. Yes, I breathe in and out, and yes, and I'm probably more conscious about it than many, just by virtue of the studies I've done. But it wasn't until I started reading about the science of it that you learn that, in fact, you know, it isn't just that I sort of assumed the body would take care of itself on the breathing front, right? Like, you just let it do its thing. But it turns out that if you deliberately engage in specific breathing techniques, at the first thought is, okay, what? Well, first of all, it can expand the lung capacity. That's what's possible, especially if you're going to hold the.
Yeah, I mean, before yoga and free diving, I just do these little shallow breaths in my chest. I never understood how much was there in your stomach.
Right.
And then your intercostals at the very end.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out, like, so there's, you know, oxygen going in, right, and carbon dioxide is building up, right, and so there are chemicals that are happening, that are interacting, and those are actually coming in and out at different levels in the body, and we tend to think of carbon dioxide as bad, but in fact, there's this degree to which more carbon dioxide buildup in the body is actually good for the body, and so there are breathing techniques that involve holding the air longer or exhaling over longer periods of time in order to get the body to sustain and hold on to more carbon dioxide. It literally is like the science. Do you know what I mean? I tend to think about, like, I'm the first person, I gotta tell you, the first person who's like, that stuff's woo-woo. Like, I'm an anti-woo-woo yoga teacher, honestly. And when you find books like this that start to say the science of what's happening is legit real, that's when I get interested anyway. But it turns out that what the science is doing is validating the stuff that they were doing 5,000 years ago, which is fascinating. Yeah? So, to wrap up, if you're willing to give me another 2 minutes, we are going to do a 4-7-8 breathing technique, which is a relaxation technique that you can use if you're trying to fall asleep and struggling. He says he uses it when he's on a plane to make, to calm down before you go on a long flight, for example. You grab me a brand new one, didn't you? It's well done.
Is your copy on the desk?
Yeah, no, I'll find it. It's here somewhere. It's fine. I had them. I'm like, where are the marks that I have written? It's all good. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. So, 4-7-8 breathing is really, it's fairly simple. What we're doing, and I'm just gonna explain it, you guys can follow along. First you'll take a breath in, and then you exhale through your mouth with a whoosh sound, so okay? So you wanna make a sound. Okay? Then you're gonna close your mouth, you're gonna inhale quietly through your nose for a count of 4, and I'll count it for you. 2, 3, 4. Then you'll hold for a count of 7. And then we exhale for a count of 8 with that whoosh sound again. 8. Okay? Ready? So, let's just start from the beginning. Take a breath in. Exhale with a whoosh. Inhale for a count of 4. Through your nose, 3, 2, and 1. Hold at the top for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, whoosh, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoosh for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more round. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoosh for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's that feel?
I love it when different practices discover the same thing.
Right.
So you know, so in free diving we do it's called the square breath. You might know it.
Yeah, it's box breathing. It's
Box
also
breathing,
called.
yeah.
Mhm.
So and there's just so it's cool. It's like okay, all these different training things discover the same thing. There's something
There's
there.
on to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, what we're learning now, I mentioned this to class earlier, is that because of what we can do with our breath, this is starting to become practice with high performance athletes. Because it starts to become an edge in
Yeah.
the littlest. Have you heard about
Yeah,
this?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like fascinating that it's
Like,
yeah.
You're the person who's doing the breathing technique, then maybe you'll have that half second that you need to beat the guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a crazy idea. You're a skier. Do you compete? No.
No,
Oh, I'm just teaching.
I just
I'm just.
With your
well, I don't teach.
Yeah.
I work at a lodge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but still, right? Like these,
Yeah.
some you probably know a lot of people who are these like the skiers aren't. If you've got a like that's a breathing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Musician breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's talk about that.
Big
Both.
part of brass playing.
Oh, gosh,
And it's
yeah.
like, I mean, I'm relatively new to like that whole world, but totally, yeah.
Right.
all of that stuff.
Learning to control the air so that you can sustain a long note,
Yeah.
right? Never mind if you're singing and trying to do the same thing.
And nervous at the same time.
And terrified. Yeah, right. Right? It's amazing. Good. Well, so if you're interested in learning more about this book will blow your mind. But mostly I want to encourage you can take that breathing technique, try it out, and then as we work through the yoga practice, we in many ways are trying to put the breath first, and the yoga follows, do you know? Because it's there that the transformation really begins to happen.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yes, but it's really hard for me.
I look for, it's interesting, each of us have our thing that's kind of our challenge, you know, and
Yeah.
mine for you, Debbie, I like in 4 or 5 weeks, she's gonna be like, starting to get it. It's great.
It will.
It will.
Yeah.
Inhale your arms up overhead. Lift your palms, bring your hands to your heart. Take your breathing with you. Take the breathing learning with you. What the breathing can do, and it's like as a very first step for all of us, is help reduce anxiety, right? helps bring you to the present moment. Anxiety happens in the future, depression in the past. So if you want to begin to reduce incidents of anxiety in your life, Brock. Thank you so much for being here. You guys have a great evening. Namaste.
That activates the parasympathetic nervous system, doesn't it?
It does. That's exactly right.
And brings you to sleep, right, to the present moment.
That's right, exactly. We listened on Monday to a little bit from The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. If you haven't read it, it's so great. And he just really takes the concepts of getting into the present moment and makes them kind of, like it's another way of saying the stuff that the Buddhists are saying, right? So if you haven't read it, I really strongly encourage you to take a look or listen, as it were. Next, so we'll be sending around the emails. If anybody didn't get the email from last time, we know the trustee didn't, we got him to figure it out. Did everybody else get the email?
I was looking for it and I didn't see it.
Okay, let's go check yours as well. And,
Is this the email with the links you were talking about?
yeah.
I don't think I got that. I get the reminders, but I don't have the email.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get the reminders.
Yeah.
Oh, so did you not check everybody, maybe? Just
no.
K.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's check everybody's, because what's happening is your notifications are turned off, and we'll just check everybody.
I'm fine because I'm getting them.
You are good?
Yeah.
Good, okay. Somewhere along the way, you might have, people might have chosen not to get the email, and so that's why. Thanks for coming, Gavin. How do you feel?
For sure.
Yeah.
a little short.
A little sweaty? A little sweaty. It's good.
That's awesome.
I thought it was funny when someone said namaste and they go, no, I'm gonna go.